You probably all know by now that I love ignites in Path of Exile. This build, I'm sure a lot of you have seen, but I'm going to talk about why this build is going to be really strong to start with next league, if it survives the patch notes. Let's get into it. Welcome, it's your friendly neighborhood Badger here, and I am back to talk about Fireburst Ignite. Yes, I know you assumed that was coming, and as I did say, I'm really obsessed with Ignites constantly in Path of Exile, and I have to try and stop myself from playing Ignite builds. At the end of this league, I started to boot up a Fireburst Ignite Elementalist in a really scuffed version with a staff, which I'm going to show you here today, but we're going to talk about all of the options and why I think this is a really strong build to start with, because it also has Fireball Ignite as a league starter, which is extremely cheap. And will bring you straight into farming yourself for that essence to be able to get Fireburst online. Now, what is Fireburst? Fireburst is a modifier that you can get on any kind of weapon, like a two-handed or a one-handed or something like that, using an Essence of Hysteria. Now, Essence of Hysteria is just an essence that you can put, as I said, on a one-hander or a two-hander weapon, and it will give you a level 20 Fireburst on hit. Now, Fireburst has a 1 second cooldown and deals a massive amount of flat damage, and is also really easy to scale for Ignites. What this means is that you can actually automate through things like a Herald of Thunder or a Stormbrand or something like that to constantly be hitting the enemy. Every 1 second, the Fireburst procs, it ignites the enemy for that 1 second, and you can just consistently do that. So it is basically an auto-bombing Ignite build. Now, this puts both of these types of builds together and uses their plus sides. Now, auto-bombing is really great because you don't really have to press buttons, you're just running around, and Ignite is really great because you don't have to consistently be standing still and dealing damage. You deal one lump of damage, move away, dodge some abilities, and the damage just keeps going, which is really nice. Now, as I said, you can use Fireburst on a one-hander or a two-hander, but you want to be using it on a two-hander because then you can actually socket in 6 support gems into that weapon. These don't have to be linked. You don't have to link your sockets at all, because all of those 6 supports are going to be modifying Fireburst. So it's basically a 7-link with a level 20 Fireburst that is automated, that ignites, and you can just run around and do whatever you want. It's extremely strong. Now, as I said, I'm playing a staff version, and a very scuffed one at that I'm still leveling up, but we're also going to be talking about the bow version, and specifically Uberdan's version that he worked on. Right before we move on, I would just like to say, if you're watching this after 3.14, I'm talking about all of this in the 3.14 patch. I'm fairly confident that this is going to stay at a very similar power next league, because they only just buffed Fireburst. If they nerf it again, it's not something that GGG usually do of buffing and nerfing like straight league after league. It's usually a couple of leagues it's usually powerful for. So we can kind of safely assume that it's going to be pretty good next league, but that being said, there will be quite a disclaimer in the description and everything like that if it is not viable whatsoever. All right, let's get into game, and I'm going to talk right about it for you all. Okay, so let's get into this build, shall we? Now, the Fireburst Elementalist, as I said, it's all about the Fireburst modifier. Now, I'm using a interesting staff here. As I said, I am playing a staff build, but you know, it's pretty good. The only real thing that you really need to worry about, though, is that Fireburst on hit. I do have it fractured. You do not need to fracture it, but the Fireburst on hit on a 6-socket staff does not need to be 6-linked like it is here, by the way. This is silly. It shouldn't be like this. This basically means that you can just socket in a bunch of things. Now, obviously, the skills are going to be like Deadly Ailments, Swift Affliction, Burning Damage, Ignite Prolife, Immolate, and Unbound Ailments. Immolate can change to some other stuff if you do want. Combustion can work really nice if you don't have combustion anywhere else. And the rest of my gear is honestly, it's very good gear, but it's pretty scuffed gear. And I'm only level 83, so I'm just going to jump into a map and show you how this build actually functions. As we see, we've got Herald of Thunder to basically do the auto-bombing stage of things. And then we've just got like Herald of Ash is really actually not doing anything apart from a little bit of proliferation. As I said, this is very scuffed. And we've got Malevolence, and I'm going the Golem version. Right after I walk through this, I'll show you my tree, but then I'm also going to show you the vastly superior and better version of the build, which is Uberdan's version, stacking Elder Gear. All right, so we're just going to jump into I am going to go into a canyon map here, tier 10, just to showcase the build. Now, it can do higher right now at level 83, but it's just going to be quicker to show you a tier 10 right now. Now, I know there's going to be people in the comments like, ha, tier 10, showcasing a tier 10 build? Stuff that. No, but I will actually show you Uberdan's build against some pretty high-end content as well right after this. So you can see here, nothing's happening right now, but we're going to start our proliferation chains with Stormbrand. Stormbrand pops on, that starts shocking and chilling the enemies, which then means that Herald of Thunder keeps working, and then my ignites start popping down. Now we're having some classic Path of Exile frame drops at the moment, so bear with that. But basically, as you can see here, I'm just walking through. We just got to walk straight through. Now, if you go between packs, or if you wait too long between packs, let's try that over here. If I wait too long, then Herald of Thunder is going to stop working here, right? It'll drop off. Alright, it should be dropped off now. And now you see I'm walking through, nothing's happening. That's alright, you just have to press one more button to start your chain again with your Stormbrand. And then you can just start walking through again. And just as long as you're killing mobs, killing shocked monsters, then your Herald of Thunder will just keep rocking. Now, Timeless Monolith is really, really nice to kind of run through and explode. You know, obviously with Path of Exile, some nice frame drops there. Now, I am going to be wanting a lot more area if I do want to kind of actually, you know, proliferate through all of these mobs right here. Uberdan's build is better than that, better for that because not using golems and using some other interesting things through there. But you can see it's fairly safe to just kind of walk around. I'm not going to kill all the mobs. Let's get to the boss and just see what it's like against the boss. Now, obviously, against bosses, you're not going to have full damage uptime, so you are going to need to be chucking your Stormbrand on the bosses. But the bosses should be right here. This is basically all I need to do. Oh, accidentally just killed the boss, one of the bosses right there, and then we'll just kill this guy here as well. So you can see very, very, very easy gameplay. Now, this was tier 10. I understand that, but that's basically just how this all functions. Really, really, really smooth. Now, why do I think this is a really amazing League starter? As I said, you can just League start Fireball or even Armageddon Brand Cremation, and then grind up for your Essence of Insanity for this one right here. Now, I am just going to quickly chuck this over... sorry, not Insanity, Essence of Hysteria. My mistake right there. I'm just going to quickly now jump over to Uberdan's version. This is the POV. I'll put it down below of one of the versions here. You can see 10k life, with some, you know, respectable block once you've got Rumi's Concoction on, and then, look, a lot of really, really good gear. Instead, using a bow with a broadhead arrow quiver here for some block and spell block chance. And this is where you put the Fire Burst in. It's also got plus level to Socket of Gems and Culling Strike, kind of insane right there. And then things like Elder items everywhere with a Blasphemer's Grasp. Now, Blasphemer's Grasp is really good because you're not only increasing the damage over time from your ailments per Elder Item equipped, but you're also increasing effective non-damaging ailments. Now, there's a really interesting interaction that both my build and Uberdan's build does use, which is Shaper of Winter. Now, in a build like this, you wouldn't think Shaper of Winter is actually going to be too helpful. Don't you want, you know, Shaper of Storms to be able to always be shocking the enemies with your damage to keep the Herald of Thunder procs up? Well, yes, you do want that. But with Shaper of Winter, what you can actually do is convert your Shaper of Winter into... Well, not actually convert it. Apply your Shaper of Winter when you apply your freezes or your chills, I should say, into shocks with cold conduction. Enemies chilled by your hits are shocked, and enemies shocked by your hits are chilled. This means that whenever your Herald of Thunder goes down and procs, it's going to chill the enemies, which is then going to shock the enemies, or when some other things happen through there as well and everything like that. It's super, super, super strong. So having a cold conduction in there, and then the rest of your mediums being just like a Burning Bright, some Burning Bright and Blowback is really, really nice right here. Is what I would very much suggest. But Uberdan's build, as I said down below, extremely good to have a look at. It's got around about 5.2 million Ignite DPS, which is much more than what my build has right now. Hopefully going to be increasing my build, but it's the vastly superior way to go about it is just Elder stacking, which I'm not doing. It's also very, very strong in terms of its defenses. As you can see, 10k life, quite a bit of block. And you're also using Bastion of Elements right here, which is super, super nice. My build, as I said, I'm taking the golems, but if I was to jump back and, you know, do some respecking, I probably wouldn't go golems. I'm getting a lot of damage from it, but as you can see, the Elder stacking is just way better, and you get a lot more defensive through Bastion of Elements using a Calm's Heart, going a bunch of life, and then just picking up all of this kind of stuff on the tree. Now, to finish off, why do I think that this is going to stay the way it is? As I said, I think it's going to stay because it only just got buffed in 3.14, basically doubling the damage that it used to have, increasing the cooldown of it, but that doesn't matter if you're going Ignite, because you can see here the total DPS per Ignite, or the length of the Ignites on Uberdan's version, is 5.85 seconds. So that's way more than you ever need, because you're proccing it every 1 second. So you have 100% damage uptime without really needing to do anything whatsoever. So definitely look into this build. If coming closer to 3.15, it's looking like this build is much more staying the way it is. I will be putting out a League Starter guide for it, both the Fireball version and then the transition into Fireburst as well, or the Armageddon brand version as well. I'll probably stick with Armageddon brand instead of Fireball, but you can do Fireball if you want. Look, Ignites are awesome. I love Ignites. Thanks for watching, everyone. That's all I really have to say. Stay safe, stay sane in this crazy world. And yeah, thanks for watching. Until next time, Badger out.